in the chat so far. We're waiting for Adam to get here. He'll be here any minute. I did a 7-minute rant yesterday because I just was so frustrated with everything I've been seeing and reading, and everyone's confused, and what do we do, and I don't know, and pretty much what I think it comes down to is that the campaign is no longer about what the campaign wants. It's about what the grassroots wants. And we all know why we're here and what we want, correct? I think so. We all want Ron Paul to be president of the United States. We all want to go down to the convention, and we all want to vote him in for the nomination. We want to screw the whole thing up if we have to get what we want. We've been working for this for so long. We're not just going to stop, roll over, and die. It's just not going to happen. No matter what anyone tells us, no matter what directive we hear, what message we hear, we need to all just focus on what we need to do. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that everybody here isn't feeling something odd, strange, disheartening. Some are more upset than others, right? So why not have a forum where we can talk to some of the huge liberty activists in the movement? We have a bunch of guests planned for tonight to chat with you guys. Take your questions. You guys can throw whatever theories you guguys have out there. We'll address them and we'll talk about them. And then what I want to do, and we'll see how the night goes. I'm just Tracy. I'm not really that important. But we'll see how the night goes. And I want to strategize and get focused again. And I want to kind of like lock the box on this controversy for the week and throw away the key and get back to what we need to do. Anybody have an answer? Win delegates everywhere we possibly can. We need to win delegates. We don't need people who don't know what direction to go in. We don't need people that don't understand what they're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is the exact same thing as you were supposed to do before this nonsense that just happened. Now, this is just my opinion, and you guys can take it or leave it. It's up to you. But we're here to get it all out in the open, vent, get it all out there, right? Anything you need to say, just freaking say it. Get it off your chest. Wake up tomorrow morning with a clear directive and a clear mission and a clear path on what we need to do to fix this country. And liberty is a huge part of that. And liberty is not just the presidency. That's a great place to have a liberty-minded person who's going to fix the country. But liberty is local. And it has to do with, local races and local candidates and liberty candidates. So Gigi Bowman's going to be here tonight, too, to talk to you guys about liberty candidates. It's an amazing organization vetting candidates all over the country for offices that are running either on Ron Paul's platform or on a libertarian platform and, doing what they need to do to get this country back in shape, starting at the ground and working their way back up. How did you get in here? There we go. I would ask kindly, this is kind of a new little thing we're using here, so I don't want random people just popping up until we're ready for that. So I would ask kindly if you would just follow the rules of the room. Only one rule, you can say whatever you want to say of a broadcast because that's not nice. Anyone have anything to say in the interim? No, that's not good, kid. I don't like that. Hi, hello. Paco? Now, okay, so about the debate, I see Gary Johnson needs to be polling at 15% to get in the debate. We have an initiative going. One of my good friends started a website. It's called openthedebate.com, I believe. You can go there. If we get 1 million signatures, the debates are open to 3 parties, and that's kind of the way it's going to work. Go there and sign yourself up, and hopefully we'll get to that level. We'll be able to, open the debates to 3 candidates. Not that I'm a particularly huge fan of Gary Johnson, but he still needs a platform, right? If you guys are going to decide to vote for him come the nomination, if we don't get our way. But if we don't get our way, if you guys are going to vote, you need to hear everybody, correct? So, let's see. Get the message out. Yes, Chris. Now, I see Jesse Benton is dirty. Now, there's 2 schools of thought on this from my interpretation and what I've been seeing on, Facebook and Daily Poll and stuff like that. One is Jesse Benton's a dirty scumbag who, who screwed everything up and has made a deal and is working with the RNC for his political career or whatever the case may be. And then there's the other section that says that Jesse Benton's only working on a directive from Ron Paul, and Ron Paul wouldn't approve anything that Jesse Benton, wouldn't let Jesse Benton say anything unless he approved it beforehand and knows what's going on. But then at the same time, you have all these conflicting things. Doug Reed comes out and says one thing, Jack Hunter says another thing. Ron Paul sends out something asking us to support him in the money bomb, which we all need to do. That's very important, regardless. Support him in the money bomb. The call. Excuse me. Yeah. Okay, I see a lot of hateful Jesse Benton comments. I hate Ron Paul supporters kissing ass to the GOP. Me too. we needed to do that for a little while. We did need to do that for a little while. But now we're kind of on our own, guys. Grassroots is going to take this where it needs to go, and that's what's important. We need to be that we are and have been for years and years. Whether you're a new supporter or you're an old supporter, you still have the same motivation, you still have the same passion and the same fervor. We must stay organized and become even more organized. Correct. We do need to become more organized. We do. And this has kind of set things back just a tad, in my opinion. But we need to get focused back on what is important once again. Thanks a lot. That's really nice. How do you turn me off? Hit the mute button. You're more than welcome to hit the mute button if you don't like what I have to say. Or you can just leave. That's another option you have too. You can leave. I'm going to be straight. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be open. I know I have an annoying voice. That's all right. That's okay. If you don't want to hear me, mute me or leave. That's it. End of story. Yes, Jesse Benton did say that we probably, short of a miracle, was a nomination for the presidency. Why did he say that is the question? Did he say that because he actually believes it? Or did he say that because of some other reason? We really don't know, and that's why we're here right now. Who thinks that we can cause an open and brokered convention in Tampa? Who thinks that we can do that? Anyone? I do. Me, absolutely. Yes. Raise his hand. Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what they say or what they tell us to do, in my opinion. I don't care if they tell me I plaid pants and purple socks if I want things to go the right way. If I want to wear blue socks and red pants, that's what I'm going to do. So that's what I feel like we should do anyway. That's my opinion. Others that come on here, hopefully in a few moments, will have their own opinions on strategy that we should go about. Okay. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hey, excellent. How's the picture coming in? You got the audio on me here?
You're good. You're perfectly good.
Excellent. Sorry about the little confusion getting in here. Ian was telling me originally 9:30, but had a couple technical glitches. I see we've got a beautiful new interface here with the new chat setup and everything. This could be really cool.
We can have up to 12 in here at a time, so yes, it can be really cool.
It could be crazy. Knowing the crowd and the subject matter tonight, you're gonna have your hands full.
I'm trying here. I've got Jesse from Ron Paul Tribune helping me to moderate this mess. But okay.
We've already got a question here. Let's start with something easy. What is your philosophy on the beard? I will refuse to shave or trim my beard until Ron Paul is president. How's that? Oh, I get a silver dollar for bitch slapping Jesse Benton. I guess I'll have to do it with my YouTube channel one more time. And yes, there is something coming. I'm working on a script right now that will really expose Jesse Benton. You know, and I heard what you said about the two potential, or the two competing theories about Jesse Benton. You know, either he's doing everything with Ron Paul's knowledge and this is all Ron Paul's responsibility, or that he's a rogue and a leech on the campaign. And it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B from what I'm able to glean. And the main thing to understand is, yes, Jesse Benton is a leech on Ron Paul. He has been there for his own benefit. He's not a libertarian, at least certainly not a philosophical libertarian. He's not in it for the cause. He doesn't get the movement. He doesn't get the grassroots. He's there to benefit himself. The history of his experience with the Ron Paul family has clearly demonstrated this, from his involvement with the campaign in 2008, where he was hired basically out of nowhere, to marrying into the family, to starting his own firm that gets lots of money from all the various institutions in Ron Paul Inc., to getting paid $140,000 from the Rand Paul campaign for a few months' work, if you want to call it that, to over $300,000 in compensation from Liberty PAC, to the ridiculous salaries that he's been collecting officially on the up and up Ron Paul campaign. At very least, he is a horrendous leech, and it is still Ron's responsibility, however, and that's the thing that I think most people here and most people in the movement have really been afraid to face up to, is that regardless, it is Ron's responsibility. And you know, I can tell you from my experience running running for office myself, running for Congress when I ran in New Mexico, when you're a libertarian, when you're challenging the system and you're standing up to the status quo, it's not easy to find a team that is a complete team for a campaign that is made up entirely of people that you trust, that share your ideology. And I didn't do it. I actually had, that was where I had some problems, obviously, with my campaign, but it ended up being that the manager of my campaign was more of a Green Party type liberal, although she was someone I entirely trusted. It's a tough balance, and I think that people are afraid to evaluate Ron personally, and there are really only a couple conclusions you can come to, and this one I can tell you. Well, geez, now I've got all these questions I'm ignoring in the chat room. Should I keep going?
Yeah, well, no, keep going, and then I have to make just a quick point because I'm kind of trying to skim through them also.
Okay, if I'm missing people's questions in the chat, if I'm just ranting in a hurry here to get something out, feel free to repeat your questions and come back to them. But anyways, the responsibility is ultimately Ron's, and we have to, in a sense, be realistic about it and be willing to embrace him as a human being, that he's not a god, he is fallible. His one weakness, which if anything is something that we are blessed as the grassroots of this movement to be in a position to, in a sense, compensate for, is lack of organizational leadership. And you can take this back to, Lou Rockwell and Ken Snyder, going way back to the newsletters, to the Duke, what do they call it? The David Duke strategy of reaching out to racist organizations in order to grow the liberty movement. I mean, if you want to call that a tactical mistake, fine. But obviously the newsletters are real, as much as Ron Paul supporters would like to completely deny them and say, hey, that, it's not an issue. He's not racist. We know he's not racist. And that's totally true. We know Ron Paul's not racist. We know that charge from the newsletters is ridiculous. However, the newsletters are still there in black and white. And so if he didn't write them, there is, as he himself admitted to, a failure of leadership. So it's both of those things are part of what's going on here. And, you saw the message from Ron Paul himself in black and white, and, then you saw this from Jesse. And a lot of wishful thinking going on here, a lot of broken hearts, a lot of people more upset at Jesse. And I used to make the excuse for Jesse Benton, and this is what's really tough about our movement really relating to him as an individual, is that he has the job of being Ron Paul's asshole. When Ron Paul needs to blow someone off, when Ron Paul needs to deliver some bad news, when Ron Paul needs to distance himself from somebody, even me, Jesse Benton is the one that has to get out and do that. And I've faced that, and I've seen that, and I've heard a lot of people say bad things about Jesse Benton for a long time. Even I really dismissed them and said, you know what, that's not Jesse Benton's fault. He's acting under Ron's directive. He's really doing the best he can, and you know, he's doing things that Ron Paul doesn't want to have to do himself. And that's fine, and that, you know, but that doesn't explain all of it. That doesn't explain nearly all of it. That doesn't explain the incompetence in so many horrendous ways. That doesn't explain Jesse Benton jumping at every chance to get in front of the media. I mean, just yesterday, in the wake of his statement following up on Ron's, he went on a conference call with the national media for over half an hour, and I listened to the whole thing, as torturous as it was. Yeah, and it was terrible. But anyways, all right, we'll get to the questions here.
Someone said just like maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago, they said, this isn't helping, you know, this is just dividing, blah, blah, but this is what we're here for, is to talk about this stuff. So for the first, you know, if we're going to talk about this stuff, whether it's going to hurt, whatever, just get it out, talk about it. It's got to be done somewhere, do it here. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, there's a question, is there going to be a massive formation of veterans and active duty troops marching at the RNC in Tampa? And the answer is yes. Yes, we will still be marching in Tampa. And let me tell you, I guess, let me get the positive stuff off my chest too here, because I have come to an optimistic conclusion that even if, I guess when you add everything up, you have to kind of decide either Ron Paul is not running to win, never was running to win, or was truly sabotaged from the inside. And you know, it's both of those are really tough to swallow. But moving forward to Tampa, we don't know how many delegates we have. We don't know how many stealth delegates we have. We don't know how many people have gotten in the Republican Party establishment saying that they're going to support Mitt Romney or they're going to vote for whoever the party rules call for, and are really willing to break the rules in order to support Ron Paul. And fuck the party rules. The party doesn't give a shit about their own rules. And it's all a bullshit show to establish ability for the party that they don't have and they don't deserve. And this idea that we should go and be nice and play nice at Tampa is absolute fucking bullshit. That's Jesse Benton, not Ron Paul. Now, Ron Paul may have some misgivings about some of the racier things done by some of his supporters, but make no mistake, what we are doing, what this movement is, even if Ron Paul himself doesn't get the grassroots, doesn't understand it, is that we're not here to reform the Republican Party. We're here to achieve liberty. And if taking over the Republican Party is the way to do it, then we are going to take over. But it is clear that the Republican Party has made it so that they are opposed directly to the libertarians coming into the party. It's not, oh, well, we're going to assimilate you slowly and peacefully, and in some ways we're going to have livings. It's been fuck you all the way. We're going to do everything in our power to dismiss you, to ignore you, to marginalize you, to keep you out of the party. And what we're going to be doing in Tampa, and what we're going to be doing Hello, new user 8198. We have someone else joining us on video. So anyways, the other thing is Rule 38. You know, Rule 38 of the Republican Party says that, what's that? What was that, Tracy? Hello?
I said no, not on purpose.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I said not on purpose. They didn't pop in.
Okay, sorry, yeah, the volume was, yeah, the sound was in and out. It's okay.
The volume sound was in and out. It's okay.
We go without the campaign, if that means we go without the campaign, if that means we go without Ron himself, so be it. This movement has always been bigger than him. And we know that, the hardcore know that. Anybody who's really disappointed, who's so emotionally involved in the message of liberty and what we do as a movement should know better than to think that Ron's actions are going to determine, your own commitment to the message, your own commitment to the movement. And what you have in the Ron Paul campaign is still one of the best opportunities out there to spread the message. Now, if he says, I'm going to do something else with the momentum other than trying to win the nomination at the RNC, That's fine. That's for him to do for whatever his part of the movement is. I'm going to go to the RNC to lead Veterans for Ron Paul. I shouldn't say lead. I should say organize Veterans for Ron Paul and make sure that we have a massive presence there. And if possible, we can sway the consciences. Delegates who may be undecided or can be swayed. But let's find out. Let's put the pressure on them. Let's make it happen. Let's, if nothing else, take advantage of this as an opportunity to spread the message and go full speed ahead. So that's where I am. That's the good news coming out of this. If nothing else, Jesse Benton has exposed himself as the incompetent snake that he is, the leech on the movement that he is, and he's made himself irrelevant. He conceded the race. He has made himself irrelevant. And really, I guess, I'm sorry, before we bring Carlos in, Carlos, thanks for joining us. I just want to say about the messages, the emails of the last 2 days. There were a couple things that were absolutely clear. That campaign is not suspending. The campaign is refocusing its strategy and its resources to the delegate process, and that they have essentially conceded the race, or at least that was an undeniable conclusion from Jesse Benton's email. So they're trying to get people to keep donating to the campaign in order to change the party platform, in order to get Ron a speaking spot. Well, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm not going to be donating to the campaign tomorrow so that Jesse Benton can steal more money from the movement. I'm going to be continuing to work to organize Veterans for Ron Paul and doing everything I can to support and encourage people in states where they still have the opportunity to become delegates and make a real impact in Tampa.
Do you think, though, like this, Carlos, hi, do you think, though, that there was confusion within? Because it seems like everything was very organized, and then this week, like, the shit hit the fan and everything just went crazy. Doug Weed saying one thing, Ron Paul saying another thing, then Jack Hunter coming out and being optimistic, and then another email from Ron Paul last night. Like, what the hell is that all about?
Absolutely. Guys, how's it going? Nice to talk to you, Adam. Hey, I just want to say I did a show over on Paul Bot Radio called Jesse Benton versus Adam Kokesh. So if anybody gets a chance to look at that, I played your entire rant about Jesse on the show. Played a couple of things about it that Jesse had said, and you won, of course. The feeling is definitely mutual. I had a sign at the Ron Paul rally that I went to last that said, "Jesse Benton, you suck," and I held it on the path that they drove to get to the campaign. But I had my friends holding up the Ron Paul 2012 sign. So my point is that I definitely agree with you on that. Jesse has a lot of problems, and I don't know whether I dislike him or whether I think he's just incompetent and might need some direction. But either way, it's irrelevant right now because we have a revolution to run. And like Tracy said, it's up to us grassroots. It's always been up to us. The people that were out there making the revolution signs in Phoenix with me back in 2007, early 2007, late 2007, around that time, those people were the movement. And just like Adam is, we're the ones that started making this happen. So we can't rely on a campaign basis that's trying to run a national campaign that's a run-of-the-mill campaign when we're trying to focus on grassroots efforts and on changing this country for the better. But Jesse, I have to disagree with you. I am going to donate tomorrow. I have very little cash, but I'm still going to donate my 2012. I have to because I phone bake for Ron Paul. I'm out there holding signs when I can, and I have to say that regardless of how the money gets used, it's for the campaign, and I think they need it. Now, if you have a problem with the campaign specifically, then I would suggest donating to Revolution PAC so that they can get some more great ads out there and stuff like that. Because either way, we need to financially support the efforts of the people that want to get this man elected. That's all I had to say.
Or Veterans for Ron Paul. Ron Paul is the choice of the troops.com. And, you know,
Yes.
People are asking how many troops are going to be in Tampa. I don't know. Honestly, I've been slacking on this. I've been a slacktivist. And, you know, I don't know if people want to get into it here. We want to turn this into another Adam Kokesh therapy session. But, you know, watching what's been going on with the campaign, dealing with my own beef with Jesse Benton, dealing with a lot of what I've got going on here with Adam versus the Man, expanding our production operation, taking on interns, exciting things in the works. I've been a bit remiss to really be actively organizing with Veterans for Ron Paul, and part of it has just been watching what's going on with the campaign with all these misgivings and really having this anxiety, I guess, about Jesse Benton in particular. I think, we saying that we're not going to donate to the campaign, understanding that Ron Paul has an issue that he has to address before we decide that that's the most effective use of our funds. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Ron Paul, by the way, I can tell you, I know with absolute certainty, Ron Paul knows about these issues. He is not so incompetent and tuned out that he has no idea what's going on. He knows that the grassroots are upset. He knows, he's not stupid. He might not be the best organizational leader, but don't insult the man's intelligence. He knows what's going on. He knows, I mean, if nothing else, they know why the money bombs have been just sort of, slowly decreasing over the last few months. They're following this. They're paying attention. And that's why I think if you want to invest in liberty, if you want to make a splash, if you want to take advantage of Ron Paul's candidacy as a way to spread the message, RevPAC, Veterans for Ron Paul, Liberty candidates, of course. And there are lots of other candidates, too, that can use your help right now, that if you want to be involved with the campaign directly, Carlos, you talked about phone banking for Ron Paul, but from what I heard from that, even that wasn't, the most effective use of all the free labor resources that were being thrown at the campaign. So maybe we don't need to invite a separate bitch session about that.
It wasn't the best for everyone, but I liked. The thing is, I never stayed on script. I don't know who did. If anybody that phone banking stayed on script, I apologize that you did that, but I did not stay on script, and I think I pulled a couple of people in our directions, I hope.
Hey, hold on. There was an accusation there in the chat room about RevPAC and oh my God, I almost said Jesse Benton when I meant to say Gary Franchi. I'm so sorry, Gary. I'm so sorry. No, Gary, I honestly, I'm not like 100% familiar with the flow of finances in RevPAC or RestoreTheRepublic.org or RTR.org, Gary's operations. But I can tell you from knowing Gary as a friend, knowing him personally, he might be taking a salary out of his operations, but it's a lot less than Jesse Benton's, a lot less. And he is absolutely in it for the cause. There's no way that he is being compensated even as much as he deserves for the work that he does for the movement. So to level an accusation like that about Gary Franchi, absolute bullshit. Put up or shut up.
We have a couple people in the chat. I don't know. Gigi Bowman's down there. Hello, Gigi. How are you? And also, is Gary in the chat, Adam? I didn't see.
I don't see him. I just saw someone level that accusation to Gary. Sheriff Mack also.
Adam, I had a question for you, Adam. What do you think? I catch a lot of flack for my position on the veterans, not veterans. I'm sorry, active duty military that are serving right now. And in a short synopsis, my opinion is that they're complicit until they lay down arms and say that they'll no longer participate in this illegal war. What do you say to that, and what do you say to people that believe that or that have that opinion?
I think that's absolutely correct. But if you're not an angel, and to say that they are somehow condemnable, any more than you are for paying taxes is a little disingenuous. So I think it's appropriate to put it in perspective and say, hey, if the troops were really defending our freedom, they'd be attacking our government. But, to expect that standard out of strangers who don't get the message yet, who haven't been enlightened or exposed to it necessarily, is jumping to a conclusion of condemning individuals. It's not appropriate. So I think that needs to be separated. And the way I always say is that, you can show absolute gratitude and respect for people being willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives to defend their fellow Americans or their communities or whatever it is that motivates them to want to do that. And that is absolutely a very noble thing. But it is, simply being misguided to think that serving in the military today is somehow hoarding freedom.
Well, guys, I want to bring in, I actually have Anthony Antonello in here. If Anthony wants to join real quick, we'll make it 4.
Yes.
I'm a little kinky. But I mean, I want to make sure that we calm people down a little bit. And I know you're upset, Adam, and that's okay. But we need
I'm
to
upset
get
too, Adam. Trust me. What do you think about Amway weed?
Amway weed?
That's what I call him. I don't call him Doug Weed. I call him Amway Weed.
I don't trust Doug Weed. I really don't.
Thank you. I'm glad someone else has said it.
Yeah, and I think this is the real failure of Ron's organizational leadership, is being a poor judge of character. Or, I have another theory here that gives Ron a little bit more credit, so I should put that out, that what Ron has decided to do with himself and his career is become the most effective way of reaching out to the base of the Republican Party. And so what he's done is surround himself not with people like himself, but people that are distinctly to the right of him, that are libertarian-leaning Republican. And there's a problem with this. Aside from all of the obvious problems that we see of being surrounded by people that don't actually believe in the cause, the libertarian-leaning Republicans who have heard the message and rejected it are never going to embrace it. Those are the kinds of people that we just have to wait for them to die. Their idea of freedom is not the moral code based on the philosophy of liberty that the movement has embraced, but rather an idea of liberty as a substance that they can have for themselves. And that's that distorted view of freedom. And these are people that don't get the movement. And I don't want to spend too much time I could tell stories about Doug Weed and John Tate and Jesse Benton all night, but yeah, Doug Weed, knowing his history. I had
inside that I wanted to know your opinion on.
Well, knowing the history of Doug Weed with George Bush the First, in and of itself, just and without some coming to Jesus, coming to the liberty message moment, and I didn't see it coming from him. I can't trust a guy like that. What's up, Tony?
What's going on, Adam? How you doing, brother? Could you guys hear me all right?
Yep, you sound great. Great to have you on,
good.
man.
Thanks, Tracy, for putting this on. I seen a comment that said, Ron Paul or nothing. Now, somebody who makes a comment like that, I guess, does not understand what we are, embarking on, what we are trying to take on, and they don't understand the liberty movement by itself, because the liberty movement goes beyond, one. Ron Paul right now is the person who is delivering a message that we want to hear. He's bringing that liberty message, but it goes beyond that. It needs to basically sets the beginning of this. What have we aspired to, what have we tried to acquire? Freedom and liberty. So no matter what happens with this election, no matter what happens, the movement, the people in this movement that are, active and doing what is right are going to carry on. We need to carry on. We have to carry on, because here's what I see. No matter what the situation, okay, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, no matter what happens with Ron Paul and his election, whether he wins, whether he loses, no matter what, I, in my personal opinion, believe that you're going to see the liberty movement drop tremendously, okay? Now, the reason I say that is because if he wins, I believe a lot of people are going to go back to their apathetic state and say, we have somebody, that we believed in, and now we could, push off our responsibility to try to make this a better country. If he loses, I see too many people saying that this a better country. If he loses, I see